So hello everybody and welcome. My name's Sharon King and I am delighted to be joined today by Pam Gregory. Hi Pam.
Hi Sharon, it's wonderful to see you again. Thank you for offering to do this for me too.
You're absolutely welcome. Pam, we've known each other for quite a long time now and you are one of the most amazing astrologers that I have ever met. And your first book, You Don't Really Believe in Astrology, Do You?, has been out for a few years now.
Yep, 4 years.
4 years.
Almost, yep.
But I also know that today is the day that you're not only relaunching this book, but you're also launching your new book, How to Co-Create Using the Secret Language of the Universe. And this is the book that we're going to be talking most about today, so people can understand how they can use astrology to understand themselves on a deeper level, but also help to change their lives.
Absolutely, yeah.
So Pam, let's start off with your first book, You Don't Really Believe in Astrology, Do You? Why are you relaunching this book? What's changed within this book?
Well, the book I feel is still very relevant because I was taking a broad sweep, looking at the subject, looking at its depth, looking at its scale. I go back in the historical chapter, looking all the way back to the 1490s on certain planetary cycles and applying them to now. So all of that almost philosophical and quantum look at astrology I feel is still very relevant, but I wanted to relaunch it in the UK, and I wanted to particularly look at the astrological developments for the next 3 years because they're going to be so important for everybody, and a little beyond the next 3 years. And so I've added an extra final chapter of almost 10,000 words, but the rest of the book is the same as it was originally, because I still feel that that's right as it is. Yeah, so anyway, that's coming out today too, so busy day.
Fabulous, fabulous. And, you know, we're living in quite interesting times at the moment. And, you know, I think the next 3 years are going to be very exciting, but also very positive as well.
Absolutely. And astrology can help you so much with that. It really can, because it can give you so much self-understanding. And with self-understanding comes confidence. And I think it's important to say that your chart, and I say it very clearly in my first book, that your chart gives you your unique pattern, which will never be repeated in history again. And that's a pretty awesome special thought. We're all unique. But it doesn't give you your level, because it's your level of consciousness that determines how you play your sheet of music. So it's incumbent on us as we move forwards through the next few years to make sure that we keep our frequency high. We keep our frequency at the pitch of love, at the pitch of peace, because there are some challenging things happening in the world, and it's important not to get caught up in those emotionally, because then we just join the misery band, as it were. It's important that we broadcast this frequency of love and peace out to the world, because that not only keeps our reality in good shape, but it actually is the best thing we can do to help the rest of the world too.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So in your book, Pam, you're talking about the North and the South nodes, which are something that when I've had astrology readings in the past, it's either not mentioned in the reading or it's thrown in as a last little 5-10 minutes at the end. But actually having now read your book and understand the importance of the North and South nodes in the astrology chart, it's actually the most important, or I feel the most important part of our chart. Increasingly, I'm agreeing with you, because in Vedic, in Indian astrology, it is the most important element in the chart. In Western astrology, it's for a long time it's just been ignored. I mean, I've been involved with astrology now for about 42 years. For the first 35, I ignored it too. It was never taught when I was learning my early years of astrology. It was kind of just, well, we don't quite know what to do with that, so we'll ignore it. But over the last few years, as I started in client sessions to talk about the North and South node, and you know, if viewers don't know what this means, it's all explained in the book, so don't worry about the jargon. It took us both to a much deeper place. It took us to a soul level place, rather than a psychological or a personality level. And so there seems to be, it's deep, it's subtle, it's not visceral like the planets. You know, if you have a Uranus transit, you'll feel wired like a Springer Spaniel. If you have a Mars transit, you'll feel energized. But with the nodal axis, it's whispered. It's existential. It's not visceral. It's not physical. But it began to fascinate me, and the deeper I've gone into it with my own chart and with clients, the more richness I've discovered. So yes, I would now agree with you. I do think it's the most important thing in the chart. If you know, all of us at some point ask the question, what's my purpose? Why am I here? Everybody asks that.
Yes.
Why am I here? What's this life about for me? And although all of your birth chart answers that to a large extent, if I had to choose one thing that answered it most precisely, it would be your nodal axis. That gives you the answer to the question, what's my purpose? Why am I here in this life?
Wow.
But it puts it in a bigger soul context, and I think that's important to say too. So because with the South Node is your accumulated life experience, what you come in with. So it's the habits, the behaviours, the skills you've developed into this life. The North Node is your virgin territory. It's where you're headed. And it may feel unfamiliar and therefore scary, but if you want a life full of meaning and purpose and fulfillment, you've got to head towards that North Node. Our habit may be to fall back on the South Node because that's our comfort zone.
Yes.
And that's what we know, easily and well. But if we don't progress, then we'll never feel life is fulfilled, if you like. So, and that really starts to get you thinking about, well, this life is just one stitch in the soul's tapestry because we've brought all that experience with us, and where does that experience come from? And you start to think about, themes in past lives too. And if you'd asked me 5 years ago, do I believe in past lives, I would have been very open. Having written this book, I now believe it in my bones. But I think, this is a very long answer to your question, but another thing to say is when in Western astrology, the South axis, the South Node has very often been dismissed as you've done that, you've achieved that, move on.
Yeah.
But why would you waste all that wisdom of experience?
Yeah.
So for me, it's like weaving an infinity symbol between the North and South Node to take all that wisdom, take all that experience, but weave it into your new stitch in the soul's tapestry where you're headed.
So I found, and I believe, that by understanding where you've come from and where you're moving to, it's like you said, the North Node is about your comfort zone, and it's called
South Node.
Sorry, your South Node is about your comfort zone, and we all like to stay in our comfort zone. It's called a comfort zone for a reason.
Absolutely.
But a lot of us are receiving that whisper from our soul, and that's going, dare I move forward? Dare I move forward? And by understanding that node, your future node, what it is you've come here to do and where you're moving towards, that helps you step forwards more confidently.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I talk about a lady in the book. She was incredibly creative. She had her North Node in Pisces in the 10th house, but that's to do with worldly achievement and career, the 10th house. She also had a Pisces midheaven, highly creative, but she had a lot of emphasis in the 5th house of children as well. That's also the house of creativity. So she wasn't very confident, and she was just looking after children at quite a sort of low wage and feeling quite frustrated because she felt she had some creativity but couldn't find a way to express it. So after the session I had with her, she just took some local art classes at the community centre. It was nothing expensive or big, but the teacher spotted her talent, and gradually over the weeks and months she had the confidence to have a little art exhibition at her home, and that went on that she was involved in a bigger gallery to have an exhibition, and her talent was just recognised every step of the way. So now she has her own gallery, she's putting out wonderful work, beautiful artwork, but she also teaches art to children, so that's where the children's side comes in too. So it really gave her the confidence to step out into who she was meant to become, her dharma, who she was meant to become in this lifetime. Yeah, really special.
Wow. So your book is done in 3 sections.
Yeah.
So would you explain those sections to us and how we can use them to find out more about ourselves, our North Node and our South Node? Yeah,
absolutely. Because this wasn't the book I intended to write, it has to be said. in my first book, there's quite a lot about quantum physics, because I'm fascinated by how we create our reality and how the quantum physics model of what we know about reality sort of intersects with astrology. That's really where my focus is. So I started off writing a book about that, taking it further. But I was kind of led by the nodes, you might say, and, and just was drawn into this mysterious zone that, I mean, astrology is already a pretty mysterious language, but the nodal axis is the most mysterious, the most secret of that language. So it's going pretty deep. So the three sections are the theory of science, quantum physics, what we know about how reality is formed from leading edge thought leaders. Another section is taking your unique birth chart. This is unique to you, completely unique. And you find that birth chart on my website for free. Even if you know nothing about astrology, be super, super careful to put in your correct time, date, place. Do it 2 or 3 times to make sure you've got the right date, because bad data in is bad data out. So you have your birth chart, and then you'll be working with your own birth chart through this book, which is a workbook. It has a worksheet, so you can fill in ideas that are unfolding as you go about your unique path, your own nodal axis in your birth chart. And the third section is a lot of practical advice on how you can start to manifest your reality, how you can use the information you've now got on that worksheet to bring it into manifestation on a daily basis, what you can do day to day, minute to minute, through your life, to make sure you're living at the highest level, to maximize the potential of what you now know you're living in this life as your purpose.
Wow. So you've written this book for complete beginners, complete novices, through to people that have been studying astrology for years. Each one will get some benefit out of it.
I really hope, yes. I mean, I've written it for people who have high interest in astrology and low knowledge, because that's the vast majority of people out there. I mean, we all start from that point. I was actually amazed with my first book, because I wrote it for that same audience, high interest, low knowledge, that a lot of astrologers read it. I was quite shocked by that, frankly. But so the same may be true for this book. We'll have to just wait and see. I mean, if it helps anybody, it's been worthwhile writing it.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why we write our books, isn't it?
Absolutely, as you so well know with yours.
Yes, that's why we do it. So, Pam, I love in chapter 1 here, you talk about, as above, so below. And there's a great story in there. As you know, I have a passion for anything to do with birth and pregnancy. And there's a great story in there that you share about a lady who wanted to get pregnant at a certain time. So could you just explain a little bit for the people who are listening, what is this concept about as above, so below?
Yeah, well, it's really fascinating. Of course, Carl Gustav Jung, was also an astrologer. Not a lot of people know that, but it became a very important part of his psychological theory, because he observed, as every astrologer knows, that a birth chart is at the same moment a map of the heavens at the moment of your birth and a map of your psyche. It's inner and outer at the same moment. And that's a pretty awesome thought that blows me away every time I have a chart session with people. But by observing, say if somebody came to see me, whether they were 20 or 80, or doesn't matter, what I'm working with is the orbits of the planets in their heavens right now, and how those planets form certain geometry to their birth chart pattern. So it forms a matrix, if you like, and that will give me a lot of information about any point in their life. So with this lady who wanted to get pregnant, she already had a young son of 3. So I was working across 3 charts. I was working with her chart, where I could see a new birth coming in and another boost to her motherhood status. I was looking at her husband's chart and how he was having joy with his wife, but also joy with a new baby coming in. But I was also looking at the chart of her young son, joy at the new sibling coming in. And I was weaving through those 3 charts, trying to find the perfect time 9 months earlier for conception. And it worked. Maybe I just got lucky, but it worked. And 9 months later, she had a beautiful baby girl.
And that was an IVF one, so
that was IVF. Absolutely, yeah.
You know, you could even pinpoint that conception time even more accurately.
Absolutely right. Which, and IVF's expensive, which is why she was quite grateful to have it at least attempted to be pinpointed. Yeah, but it worked very well. So it's fascinating. You know, if astrology can help with things like that, gosh, I mean, that's special.
Yeah. So Pam, what I love about your work is that you are constantly putting out information to us. So you tell us about the next new moon or the next full moon, or the eclipses that are happening, and, you know, anything that's going on, and you so very clearly are able to relate it to not only what's going on in the world right now, but also what's coming up. So for anybody that wants to get your updates, how would they do that?
Just really easy. Go onto YouTube, Pam Gregory Astrology. I also always post my latest videos on my website, pamgregory.com, with my client list. I always send the videos out to my client list in case they're interested and want to see. I always put them on Facebook, just Pam Gregory, my regular page on Facebook. The icon for that is on my website, pamgregory.com. So, you know, it's out there. And I'm really happy to do all that for free, because astrology has given me so much richness in my life. And if I can even help a little bit to give some of that richness to other people, to help them with self-understanding and confidence. And, you know, astrology, as you well know, Sharon, because you love it too, it's a language of spiritual evolution, it's a language of self-understanding, it's a language of co-creation. We can so help to shift our consciousness just by understanding our astrology a little better. And, you know, so I'm very happy to put out a lot for free. That's my, you know, very happy to do that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. But also, to go alongside your information that you put out, you empower people to be able to get their own chart, to understand what is going on. And you've got 2 really great videos that you sell in order to help people understand their charts better.
Yeah, I did that because, you know, when you're getting interested in astrology, the question you always have is, what does it mean for me?
Yes.
That's always the question. And I probably get about 150 of those a day of what does it mean for me? And rather than me answering those same questions every single time, it's just so empowering for people if they can understand how to do it themselves. So I filmed this simple 2-part tutorial video series. The link is in every update video I ever do and in the description. And it really explains to people very simply, again from a zero start, the basics of astrology. So with each update I do, they can kind of plot that and follow it in their chart to see, okay, now I understand that area of life and how it's likely to manifest and what that means for me. And it's thrilling for people. You know, people get very excited that, hey, you know, I can now read some of my chart, and that's what I want people to do. So with this new book coming out today, How to Co-Create, I've actually filmed a video companion, 3 videos to go alongside the book, because in writing the book I realised that it may actually prompt a lot of questions for people who want to dig deeper.
Yeah, and there's only one of you, Pam.
And there's only one small person here. No help at all, one small person. So, so in order to help with that, I filmed these 3 videos that will dig deeper. You know, for instance, if you have a planet at one end of your nodal axis or the other, what does that mean? Yeah. So one of the videos covers that. So I'm actually putting out a separate video to explain what the video companion videos talk about. But it will be very helpful for people who want to dig deeper into the nodal axis. And they're the kind of things you could, because I had to do a lot of research in putting those together. So it's the kind of video series that you could watch again and again and again many times and get more out of it.
Yes. And you can almost write another book on that.
No more books. I'm done. No more books. Completely done.
Beautiful. So, is there anything else that you want to say about this book, Pam, that you feel would be important for people to know about either their north or south nodes, or what they can expect and get from this book?
Yes, lovely. Great question. My hope is that it will give them, to some degree, greater self-understanding. I also really believe that in reading the book, they will have a much greater sense of their own purpose in this life, and therefore that will give them much more fulfillment and meaning and depth in this life. And what I also hope is it will lead to them studying astrology, serious astrology, not just sun signs, but serious, in a really much bigger way for themselves. I haven't put together a whole teaching academy. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that, but there are many excellent teaching organisations out there that can lead you further on that path. Yeah. But if that just takes people a little bit further in their lives in terms of purpose and self-understanding, I'm a happy bunny.
Yeah, beautiful. But also, people like myself who feel like we have that little whisper from our soul to let us know we're on our life purpose or on our journey. It's just lovely confirmation that actually, yes, you know, that is what you're meant to be doing, and it's safe to step out and do what you're meant to be doing.
Absolutely, and you are a beautiful example of somebody living on purpose. Absolutely perfect.
Beautiful. Thank you, Pam. It's just been a delight and a joy in talking to you today, and being as today's the day that your book is being launched, I'm going to wish you every success with it, because I know that people are going to get so much out of reading this book. So thank you, Pam. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Lots of blessings, and thank you so much for giving up your time, Sharon. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.